Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at the data behind a food group you probably walk right past in the grocery store all the time, legumes. We're going to unpack the actual clinical research on how they affect your heart, your blood sugar, and your overall disease defense. Let's literally lift the lid on the science and see what's actually inside a humble can of beans. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the forgotten superfood. Then explore protecting your heart, blood sugar superstars, the cancer defense, and weight loss and satiety. And finally, yes, we'll cover beating the bloat.
Section 1. The forgotten superfood. So legumes are incredibly cheap, they're highly sustainable, and they're just packed with protein and fiber. But there's a massive discrepancy here. Why do only 22% of us actually eat them on a weekly basis? According to a huge 2011 survey commissioned by the Grains and Legumes Nutrition Council, almost 80% of the population is completely missing the mark. I mean, standard dietary guidelines tell us we should be eating these 2 to 3 times every single week.
Look, if you're part of that 78% who aren't eating them regularly, your hesitation makes total sense. That same survey identified the top 3 reasons people avoid legumes. Number 1, a simple lack of knowledge on how to prepare them. Number 2, a poor understanding of just how incredible the health benefits really are. And number 3, the pervasive fear of flatulence and bloating. But don't worry, the rest of this explainer is designed to systematically dismantle every single one of those hurdles.
What's really cool is just how diverse this botanical family actually is. When we say legumes, we aren't just talking about a sad can of baked beans. We're looking at everything from chickpeas and kidney beans to dried red, brown, and yellow lentils, split peas, and even soy foods like tofu and soy milk. Seriously, there is a whole world of culinary potential here.
Section 2. Protecting your heart. When we look at cardiovascular health, the clinical data gets really exciting. 5.5%. That is the average reduction in total cholesterol observed in a major meta-analysis of clinical trials when people just incorporated non-soy legumes into their diet. To get this, participants were eating between half a cup and 2 cups a day of things like chickpeas, pinto beans, or navy beans. And not only did total cholesterol drop by 5.5%, but the dangerous LDL cholesterol fell by 6.6%. Oh, and remember, legumes themselves contain absolutely zero cholesterol.
And this brilliantly illustrates how those little biomarker drops translate into massive real-world outcomes. Observational studies using data from the US-based Anhain study show that eating legumes 4 or more times a week is associated with a staggering 22% lower risk of coronary heart disease, especially when compared to just eating them once a week. The dietary fiber, antioxidants, and phytosterols in the beans are in there actively working to decrease the absorption of cholesterol in your gut. It's like a built-in defense system.
Now, before we move on to blood sugar, here is a highly practical tip. Canned legumes are incredibly convenient, right? You literally just open the tin. But they usually have sodium added during the canning process to preserve their look and texture. Well, you can cut that sodium content by almost half simply by taking the beans and rinsing them thoroughly under the tap. It takes 10 seconds, and it perfectly preserves all those cardiovascular benefits we just talked about.
Section 3. Blood sugar superstars.
If you're looking to manage your daily energy levels and avoid those afternoon crashes, legumes are literally built for the job. Take a listen to this quote from Professor Jenny Brand Miller from the University of Sydney. Legumes are the star performers for blood glucose control. And the biological reason for this is fascinating. The starch inside them is actually encapsulated, and it's much higher in a compound called amylose than standard grains. Because of this, the starch is way less likely to fully gelatinize when you cook it, which dramatically slows down your body's digestion rate. It effectively blunts that entire glycemic response. Which brings us to a biological phenomenon that is genuinely surprising. It's called the second meal effect. This is the ability of legumes to lower your blood sugar not just right after the meal you eat them in, but also at your next meal later that day, or even the following day. By eating a serving of lentils at lunch, you are essentially giving your body a time-release blood sugar stabilizer that helps you handle the carbs you're going to eat at dinner. How amazing is that?
Section 4. The cancer defense. Perhaps the most profound finding in all this data is the really strong link between legume consumption and a reduced cancer risk. And this isn't just some fringe internet claim. This is baked right into the 2013 Australian Dietary Guidelines, which state directly that legume consumption is associated with a reduced risk of colorectal cancer. The World Cancer Research Fund totally backs this up too, citing convincing evidence that high-fiber foods protect the bowel. The mechanism here is incredible. The resistant starch in legumes is fermented by bacteria in your colon into short-chain fatty acids, specifically one called butyrate. And butyrate is thought to literally promote the death of colorectal cancer cells.
Now we need to talk about a specific type of legume for a second: soy. For a really long time, there was this widespread concern that the isoflavones in soy could actually negatively impact breast cancer survivors. This was mostly based on isolated animal studies. However, the largest study to date, which tracked over 9,500 breast cancer survivors for 7 years, found the exact opposite. Women consuming the highest intakes of soy foods actually had a 36% reduced risk of cancer recurrence and a 29% reduced risk of breast cancer-specific mortality. The verdict is in. Soy is completely safe and it is highly protective.
Section 5. Weight loss and satiety.
So we know they protect our heart and stabilize our blood sugar. But what about our waistlines? Well, when researchers compare regular bean consumers to non-consumers, the health outcomes are pretty stark. Those who regularly eat beans have a lower body mass index, a 23% reduced risk of an increased waistline, and a 22% reduced risk of obesity overall. You might be wondering why. It's because that fiber and resistant starch stay completely undigested until they reach the large bowel. This fermentation process actually suppresses your appetite for up to 4.5 hours, meaning you just naturally eat less at your next meal without feeling restricted or hungry.
Section 6. Beating the bloat.
Okay, it is finally time to address the flatulence elephant in the room. This is the main reason people run from these foods. But it turns out gas is largely just a temporary biological adaptation. There was this comprehensive U.S. study that took healthy adults and had them eat half a cup of legumes, like pinto or navy beans, every single day. And yeah, sure, half the people did report increased gas during that very first week. But by the second week, a massive 70% of participants reported that any increase in gas had completely dissipated. Their gut microbiomes had simply adjusted and adapted to that new healthy influx of fiber.
So if you want to train your own gut microbiome to digest beans without the dreaded balloon effect, here is the simple, actionable game plan. Step 1, gradually increase your intake. Don't go from 0 to 3 cups a day, okay? Start small. Step 2, soak and rinse dried legumes thoroughly before cooking. And always rinse your canned beans. Step 3, drink plenty of water to help all that amazing dietary fiber move smoothly right through your digestive tract.
We've seen the data. Legumes drop your cholesterol, they act as a time-release blood sugar stabilizer, they actively defend against certain cancers, and they naturally suppress your appetite. Plus, they are incredibly affordable and versatile. So I'll leave you with this thought. Knowing absolutely everything we've just covered about the true science of legumes, will you add half a cup to your plate tomorrow?